Hello everyone, we are coming at you live from Titlow Beach Park. I apologize, there's a little bit of train noise in the background, so we're gonna try to fight through that as we go explore the low tide today. I'm Rachel, your education director, and I also have Stina and Lindsay here, but unfortunately they're on the other side of the track waiting for this train to pass. So we'll get going with our beach walk without them, and hopefully they'll join us here in a second. If you want to post in the comments where you're watching from, that's always great information for us to have. So we are here. This is Titlow. It's a marine preserve, and we've got a really nice low tide today. So we're gonna kind of gloss over the high tide stuff and make our way away from that train noise, and hopefully you can hear me just fine. This is the location that used to be a ferry landing when ferries were a lot more popular across the Puget Sound for people to navigate. Nowadays, we have the two beautiful bridges, which have taken the place of this ferry. But we're gonna make our way down. Today's low tide is, I believe, negative 1.4. And that's happening just before 3 o'clock. I don't think we'll go live for that entire time, but we'll see what we can see. And I'm noticing we're starting to get to the part of the tide where we have this green algae. And it doesn't look like much right now at this time of the year, but pretty soon we're gonna get a big bloom of this sea lettuce, and it's gonna cover the entire beach all the way along. And this green algae marks the middle intertidal zone. So this is place on the beach where it's wet about 50-50. What I love about this location is we've got lots of different kinds of algae, so we're gonna start seeing more of the red and the brown algae like this rockweed here. But let's go a little further and see if we can find maybe a smallish rock that we can flip. Anything that we move on this beach is going to be placed right back because we want to be good guests and good stewards of this place. So I generally like to find a rock that I know is the right size to flip. So I'm actually going to turn this one over here. And as I expected, there was a little tiny shore crab down in here. But on the rock itself, there's also a really interesting animal. This little orange blob that you see here is a bryozoan, or moss animal. And it's, what I like to say, an animal that crochets itself into existence because it's just gonna kind of encrust and move outward like a big animal doily. So we'll put this rock back in place now, gently turning it over, making sure not to smash that little crab that we saw. Let's go down a little farther. I have the most luck finding animals in places where the ground is already wet. So as we travel a little bit lower, we'll see more variety of life and some of the more delicate species that need that salt water to survive. All of these animals regularly get uncovered by the tide. We have 2 high tides and 2 low tides every single day, which means everything that lives here needs to be adapted to being dried out for a portion of time. Those high tides happen at night. They happen during the day, and they are constantly sort of shifting around. Looking down in the algae like this is a good way to find small creatures. Oh, look at this. This is a tiny piece of bull kelp. This is going to be huge. This stipe section right here, it looks like a stem, can reach over 100 feet in length. This portion right here is called the pneumaticist, and it's filled with air that's going to help keep this kelp floating in the photic zone, or in the place where the sunlight will reach. Ooh, I see a little bit of evidence of animals here in this little tiny yellow circle. This is a lacuna egg case from a tiny little snail. I usually see the eggs much more often than I see the snails. Let's see, this is a good spot for planktonic life as well. So quite often in these little puddles, I'm looking to see if there's any phytoplankton or that sort of thing. Zooplankton, little animals kind of zooming around in here as well. This is also a good reminder to wear protective foot covering when you're at the beach, because all of this algae is quite slippery. and you want to protect your toes from things like the really sharp barnacles on the rocks. Let's see. Oh, here's this is a good rock where anytime you can see like puddles of water down around the rock, that's a good spot to look for animals. So things like crabs or even small octopus are often found hiding in these little areas. So you want to be really careful. Oh, speaking of crabs, look right here. We've got a kelp crab. Oh, and he's gonna go all the way under. Come on out, friend. All right, we've got a kelp crab here. This is a male kelp crab, and they get called spider crabs quite frequently because of their body shape. But the northern kelp crab, Pugetia productus, is their scientific name. And this one's just a juvenile. They'll get pretty big across their back, maybe up to about 4 or 5 inches across the back of the carapace. And you can see I've got it held gently on the carapace. This is a flexible crab species. So most crabs, I would say, handle them by their 2 back legs, but this is one animal that can definitely reach all the way underneath it. Their front pinchers are quite flexible, and they are a little bit crabby. We can't really blame them for that though. There we go. So you can see how easily these animals blend in with the kelp itself. They're kind of perfectly kelp colored, and it's their food and it's their habitat as well. So we'll just place that animal right back and let it get safe and secure back underneath that rock as it waits for the tide to come back. Many of these animals are going to be hiding during the low tide. So as the water recedes, quite a number of them are just going to camp out and wait and try to remain hidden. There's lots of predators that take advantage of the tide being out to come and forage. Most of the gulls and crows, even the cormorants, will take advantage of the fish that are sort of hugging the shore here. I would say there was a harbor seal a second ago. You see a little harbor seal head? Oh, yes. Okay, so way over there's a little blob. That is a harbor seal. You'll have to take my word for it.
A harbor seal and a snorkeler.
And a snorkeler. Yeah, don't let the snorkeler, they splash a lot more than most of the marine animals here. This is an excellent place to snorkel if you've got gear to protect yourself from the cold water. It's about 45 degrees Fahrenheit in this water, although the air temperature is much warmer than that. So you've made it across the...
I made it back.
You made it to the right side of the tracks.
It feels so good.
I love it. But yes, it is. It was quite an interesting. We waited for that thing for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So glad to have you back, Stina.
If we ever go live for Blue Water Task Force sampling and it's 15 minutes late,
There you go.
We'll
You can
blame
blame the train.
which I think we've done before, but that was an excessive amount of train waiting.
Yeah, the train actually stopped on the track, so we had to wait. But that's all right. The tide does not wait for anyone, and so here we are.
Tiny. I saw you had a northern kelp crab.
Yep, we found a kelp crab already. That's pretty much all we've looked at. A little shore crab here. I saw some skeleton shrimp, but then couldn't find them when I went to film them. So there you have it. Stina, what do you like best about this beach?
Well, you were mentioning the snorkeling. I like scuba diving here because when the sun, like right now, it's probably a beautiful day for this fellow to be out there because the sun's like streaming through the pilings. There's big, giant plumose anemones, longest anemone in the world, and all sorts of just little life on the pilings, and the sun shining through it is just beautiful. And then, of course, there's so much great seaweed here.
There's so much great seaweed here, and while you were speaking,
Did you see a good
I
seaweed?
spied
You spied a good one.
a good creature. This is a hairy hermit crab. We saw a few of these yesterday out at DuPont. But the hairy hermit crab chooses a shell that is too small. And buddy, your shell is way too small. You're bursting out of it. You can't even withdraw a little bit. You can't even pretend that you're hiding from me. But you're pretty quick. So the hairy hermit crab loves to be able to choose a small shell so that they can be really, really fast. And I'm betting if I place my hand in the water like this, that this crab's gonna get up and run away. There we go. Cool to see those little animals here taking advantage of what small shells there are available. This is a good reminder not to take shells from the beach because animals like that hermit crab need them. But even if the shell is broken or it's from an animal that a snail, that a hermit crab wouldn't use, it's still a good idea to leave them because they will be recycled. The ocean is really good at dissolving those shells and making the raw materials available for other creatures that need them to form their shells. What are you seeing over there, Stina?
Trying to find a skeleton shrimp.
Oh, yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
They're tiny shrimp. They're about this big.
But they were the inspiration for the alien predator.
Yes.
They are a shrimp
The
with
alien
lots of
animal
character.
is very scary if you were very tiny. But we're way big. Yeah, I was gonna say, is there a good rock that you could flip? Ooh, yeah, that does look like a good rock. Let's give that a turn. Again, Stina's choosing rocks that are small enough that she can lift them, so that we don't risk damaging the animals. Oh, look at that
You're
Turkish.
going to be distracted by the Turkish towel.
It's beautiful.
A nice big piece. In the spring, we get to see lots of really like
Whole
healthy,
pieces.
whole pieces of algae. They get kind of beat up as the year goes on. Also, probably a lacuna snail. Those are the
Oh
ones
yeah, we saw
that,
the eggs, the donut eggs.
Yeah, like the donut eggs. But
Nice.
let's take a look under this nice
All right,
rock
give
here.
it a turn. Oh, this is a rock that has been
Ooh,
flipped
yeah.
already.
How do you know?
Well, green algae doesn't grow under a rock.
So, I'm noticing this little friend. This is a little juvenile woody chitin. They have the 8 plates and the eyes on in their shell, part of their shell.
Through their shell.
Through their shell, which is
You can't
just
see them.
wild. But it probably just winked at you anyway. So, so then this is an opportunity where instead of putting the rock exactly how I found it,
With these dead barnacles up on top,
Yeah, we're
we
just
want to
gonna,
preserve the live algae
like,
and whatever
what
else
else
is
we're
living
gonna
on it. Yeah, look under, because sometimes critters move.
some glass. So again,
Evidence of
wear
humans.
those closed-toed shoes.
Yep.
Um,
Ooh, there's a little worm right by your boot.
Pink. It's like a little nematode almost.
Kinda. Hard to say. Little wiggly. Don't ask me what kind of worm it is. I will just say worm.
It's wormy.
It's a worm. This is where you don't have to know everything to enjoy the beach. And we certainly do not know everything.
Here's a fun one.
Ooh. Ooh, yeah.
Baby bull kelp. So this is a really important species of algae. It creates those kelp forests. And this is a very juvenile one. This is one of the fastest growing organisms. I think they can grow over
It's
foot
like
in a
18
day.
inches a day, I
Yeah.
think is their max if conditions are perfect.
It's impressive. Imagine those growing pains. Ouch. But this is a little baby one. And the Narrows is one of the few places where there's still healthy kelp populations. In a lot of areas in the South Sound, the kelp's not doing so great. So
Oh, we need to help the kelp.
help the kelp. But luckily here there's more cold water and
Good
those nice
flow.
fast currents. So that's what this stuff likes.
Nice. All right, well, let's just take a look. We'll walk a little farther out and see what we can see. But our real reason for being here today is because we are filming for some school workshops. So we're still active in our school. So if you know any teachers who are interested in having a virtual field trip experience with Harbor Wild Watch, you can have them shoot me an email, rachel@harborwildwatch.org. Or you can send us a Facebook message too. That works equally as well. So we probably won't stay too long on this live. Oh, here's a cool piece of bull kelp showing off their hold fast, which is the place how they kind of stick that will grow over the rock surface and give them a good attachment point. And then the stipe is going to come out of that, and this is the part that elongates and gets over 100 feet long. The pneumaticist at the top. Oh, Stina, there is a skeleton shrimp. Oh, I lost him. There was a skeleton shrimp, and then the part that does the photosynthesis, the blades, come off of that pneumaticist. Great to see some beautiful kelp species here. It's like It's like having a healthy forest in the terrestrial environment. You want to see lots of variety and various stages of maturity. This place that we're exploring right now is a marine preserve, which means there's no fishing, there's no harvesting of shellfish or anything like that here. And it's just a really great spot. The old pilings provide a bit of substrate and attachment for lots of things. You can check out all the cormorants up there, using them as perfect little drying spots. I know. Tell us some fishing stories.
Yeah. There's a nice orange kind of gullet that's really bright right now.
Yeah, they've got their mouths open. That's a little bit of thermoregulation they're doing. So they're toasty up there.
Soaking in that spring sunshine.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
I'm kind of toasty too.
I opened my ventilation.
Oh, you got your pit zips open, eh? I went coatless. I'm probably gonna get a sunburn here today. Let's hope not. It's eggs or something. Some sort of slimy thing.
Yeah. I was trying to think of something funny.
Oh yeah,
for,
here's
like,
another
an April
slimy thing.
Fools.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
You aren't quick enough.
Not quick enough.
Blobs a snot.
Bob's a snot. Bob's a
I hope not. It's Corona times. Nobody should be leaving snot around.
Agreed.
All right. Well, friends out there in Facebook land, I think it is probably time for us to take advantage of this low tide and get some filming done for our school programs. Thanks for tuning in with us, and check back tomorrow. We've got another live program scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. We'll see you then.